Endings or beginnings? In the summer of 2013, Richard Harvey and I embarked on a journey to develop and launch an online training program for sacred attention therapy. After an initial series of video conference calls, we established the training was intended for three audiences. One, therapists, that is, psychotherapists, counselors, and other healing practitioners. Two, people who wanted to train to become sacred attention therapy therapists. And three, seekers who wish to practice sacred attention therapy for their own personal growth and spiritual development. In earnest, we began our collaboration. Richard started writing the lectures and supporting documents. In parallel, he recorded the lectures. I turned my attention to figuring out the technology end of the equation. What platform would we host the training on? How would students be enrolled? What would the student experience look like? Etc. In parallel, I served as a second eye for the lectures and supporting documents. The process was daunting. Month after month, Richard toiled over the lecture material and supporting documents. I would make a discovery and progress in one area of the technology equation, only to be set back with the realization of the challenges, shortcomings, or glitches with the approach being considered. There were times when the entire process seemed out of reach. But we persisted, and in January 2015, Sacred Attention Therapy Online Training Level 1 was launched. Since that time, students from around the world have applied and enrolled in this progressive, radical, and innovative psychospiritual psychotherapeutic training program. Very soon after Level 1 was launched, Richard and I talked about developing Level 2 of the training program. 4 years later, with many of the same challenges we faced in Level 1 training development and production, Level 2 of Sacred Attention Therapy online training was launched. Level 2 has a distinctly different look and feel. The content is very different, but a mention of Level 1 training and the lectures themselves have a very different look and feel to them. When Richard sent me the final written material for Level 2, he expressed great joy that this level of the training had been completed. 4 years of hard work had come to conclusion and had ended. I smiled along with Richard at our sense of accomplishment. Indeed, there was a great sense of accomplishment, knowing that all our hard work had finally come to fruition. For me, however, there was an overwhelming sense that the journey with Sacred Attention Therapy Online Training Level 2 had only just begun. Yes, the course material was completed, developed, packaged, and launched, but now the journey of sharing this progressive, radical, and innovative psychospiritual psychotherapeutic training program with the world would begin. This ending and beginning with Sacred Attention Therapy Online Training Level 2 got me thinking about how we treat endings and beginnings in our lives. How do we deal with endings? Do we resist endings? Do we run away? Do we loathe endings? Or do we embrace endings? Do we celebrate endings? And what about beginnings? How do we treat beginnings? Are they reason or cause for joy, concern, fear? Of course, the answer to any of these questions may differ depending on the situation, but in general, how do you treat or deal with beginnings and endings? Is there any more poignant metaphor for beginnings and endings than the societal metaphor of life and death? Conventional wisdom has us being born to start our life and dying to end our life. It was not until my early 30s that I questioned this story of birth and death. I can't remember exactly where I heard the following, but it was either on a radio or TV show many years ago. The host of the radio or TV show was sharing that many of the great faith and spiritual traditions share the common pedagogy that when we die, as our soul leaves this realm, we pass through a dark tunnel, but we see a light at the end of the tunnel. Many spiritual and faith traditions indoctrinate this, and they're faithful to go to the light upon their passage to the mythological heaven. The host of the show then shared their ponderings about what it must be like for a newborn child to pass through the birth canal. The newborn child may experience a dark tunnel, but see or sense a light at the end of the tunnel. The host of the TV show asked if it was possible that the process of death, as we commonly know it, was merely a passageway from one life, one ending, to a rebirth or a new beginning. If this be so, is there really an ending or beginning? I have heard it said that death is not the end of life and birth is not the beginning. Life always was, always is, and will always be. Is it possible that death and birth, endings and beginnings, are the natural flow of never-ending life? What happens when we examine these matters from the mind versus our heart? When we open up our heart center, do death and birth allow us to see endings and beginnings differently?